I was unpacking boxes in my new condo when my phone rang, Mom. I almost didn't answer because I was exhausted from the move, but something made me pick up. Natalie, great news. Mom's voice was so cheerful it immediately put me on edge. We solved Jessica's housing problem. My stomach dropped. Jessica, my younger sister. The eternal victim who somehow always needed rescuing and never faced consequences for her choices. What housing problem? I asked carefully, setting down the box I was holding. Oh, she's been struggling since the divorce. Living in that cramped apartment with the girls, barely making rent. It's been so stressful for her. But your father and I came up with a perfect solution. Mom, what did you do? We gave Jessica the keys to your house. She's moving in this weekend. Isn't that wonderful? The girls will finally have a backyard to play in, and Jessica won't have to worry about rent for a while. She can get back on her feet. I stood completely still, trying to process what I'd just heard. You gave her the keys to my house? Yes, your father drove over yesterday and gave her the spare set. She's already planning which room will be the girls' bedroom. She's so excited, Natalie. This is exactly what she needed. Mom, I said slowly, my voice dangerously calm. When did you decide to give away my house? We didn't give it away, honey. We're just letting Jessica stay there. You moved out 2 months ago, and the house has been sitting empty. It's such a waste, and family helps family. You understand that, right? I moved out 2 months ago because I sold the house, Mom. I closed on it 2 weeks ago. There are new owners, a family with 3 kids. They're moving in this Saturday. The silence on the other end was deafening. What? Mom's voice had lost all its cheerfulness. You sold it? When were you going to tell us? I told you 3 months ago that I was putting it on the market. I sent you a text when I accepted an offer. I mentioned it at Sunday dinner last month. You weren't listening because you were too busy talking about Jessica's problems. But we gave Jessica the keys. She's already told the girls they're moving. She gave notice to her landlord. That's not my problem, Mom. That's your problem because you made a decision about my property without asking me. You didn't own that house, I did, and I sold it to someone else. Who owns it now? Natalie, this is a disaster. What is Jessica supposed to do? Where will she live? How could you do this to your sister? I didn't do anything to Jessica. I sold my house. Which is my right. You're the one who promised her something that wasn't yours to give. But family doesn't give away other people's property without permission. Family doesn't assume they can make decisions about things they don't own. And family doesn't guilt-trip someone for selling their own house. Your father is going to be very disappointed in you. Tell Dad that if he'd read any of my texts or listened at dinner, he'd know I sold the house weeks ago. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have unpacking to do in my new place that I own, that nobody gets keys to without my permission. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking with rage. How dare they? How dare they give away keys to my house like it was theirs to distribute? My phone immediately started buzzing. Text after text in the family group chat. The family group chat was exploding. I watched the messages roll in, each one more entitled than the last. Jessica, Natalie, Mom just told me you sold the house? After they said I could move in? What am I supposed to do now? Dad, Natalie, call your mother back right now. This is unacceptable. Aunt Carol, you sold the house knowing your sister needed it? That's incredibly selfish. Jessica, I already gave notice to my landlord. I have 2 weeks to find a new place, with 2 kids. Thanks a lot, Natalie. I stared at the messages, my anger building with each one. They were blaming me for selling my house, as if I somehow wronged them by exercising my legal right to sell my own property. I typed out a response. I'm going to say this once. I put the house on the market 3 months ago. I told Mom and Dad. I sent updates. I mentioned it at family dinners. Nobody listened because nobody cared until it affected Jessica. I closed 2 weeks ago. The new owners take possession this Saturday. None of this is my problem. Jessica. So you're just going to let me and your nieces be homeless? What kind of aunt does that? The kind who sells her own house and expects her family not to give away keys to property they don't own. You're not homeless, Jessica. You have 2 weeks to find a place. Which is more notice than I got before Mom and Dad decided to give you my keys. Dad, that's enough, Natalie. Family comes first. We'll figure this out. Figure what out, Dad? There's nothing to figure out. I sold my house. It's done. If you want to help Jessica find an apartment, that's great. But it's not going to be in my former house because other people own it now. Mom, the new owners don't move in until Saturday. Couldn't Jessica just stay there until then? I actually laughed out loud at that. No, Mom. Jessica cannot squat in a house she doesn't own for 5 days. That's called trespassing. And breaking and entering if she uses those keys you gave her. Which, by the way, I need back. Immediately. Jessica, I can't believe you're being this cruel. After everything I've been through with a divorce, your divorce is not my responsibility. Your housing is not my responsibility. Your choices are not my responsibility. I sold my house. End of story. I muted the group chat and called my real estate agent. Hey Natalie, what's up? Quick question. My parents gave my sister a spare key to the house before closing. She doesn't know the new owners are moving in Saturday. What do I do? There was a pause. Your parents did what? Long story. But I need to know legally, what's my obligation here? You need to get those keys back immediately. If your sister tries to enter that property, she could be arrested for trespassing. The house belongs to the Hendersons now. They closed 2 weeks ago. Your family has zero legal right to be there. That's what I thought. Can you let the Hendersons know there might be an incident this weekend? Oh God, Natalie, what did your family do? They promised my house to my sister without asking me. After I'd already sold it. That's insane. That's my family. After hanging up, I unmuted the group chat long enough to send one more message. If Jessica uses those keys to enter the property, she will be trespassing. The new owners take possession Saturday at 9 a.m. I've already warned them there might be an issue. Anyone who shows up at that house this weekend will be dealing with the police, not me. Friday morning, there was pounding on my new condo door. I looked through the peephole and saw Jessica standing there with Mom. Both looked furious. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. What? We need to talk, Mom said, pushing past me into my living room. Jessica followed, her arms crossed defensively. Sure, just come right in, I said sarcastically, closing the door. How could you do this to me? Jessica started immediately. I told the girls we were moving into a house. They're excited about having their own rooms. And now I have to tell them it's not happening because their aunt is selfish. I didn't do anything to you. I sold my house months ago. Nobody asked me before giving you keys to property I no longer owned. You could have told us you were selling. Mom interjected. I did tell you, multiple times. You didn't listen. Well, we didn't think you'd actually go through with it. You know Jessica needed that house. I stared at her in disbelief. You thought I'd keep a house I didn't want, that I was paying mortgage and taxes and insurance on, just in case Jessica might need it someday. Are you hearing yourself? Family takes care of family. Mom's voice was rising. When my brother needed a place to stay, your grandmother let him use her house for 2 years. Her house that she owned, not someone else's house that she gave away without permission. Jessica started crying. The performative tears I've seen 1,000 times. I have nowhere to go. My landlord already rented my apartment to someone else. I gave notice because you said I could have the house. Mom said that, not me. I wasn't even consulted. But you're my sister. You're supposed to help me. Help you how, Jessica? By keeping a house I don't want. By psychically knowing that Mom and Dad were going to promise you something that wasn't theirs to give? By putting my life on hold for your convenience? I just went through a divorce. And I'm sorry about that. I really am. But your divorce doesn't give you or mom or dad the right to my property. I worked for that house. I paid for it. I maintained it. And when I was ready to move on, I sold it. Like a normal person does. Mom stepped forward. The girls, Natalie. Think about the girls. They need stability. Then Jessica should provide that. Not me. I'm their aunt, not their parent. And I'm certainly not responsible for housing them because Jessica made poor choices. Poor choices? Her husband cheated on her. And that's terrible. But it's still not my problem to solve by giving up my house. Jessica's tears stopped abruptly. She looked at me with pure hatred. You're just jealous because I have kids and you don't. You're bitter and alone, and you can't stand that I have a family. I took a deep breath. Get out. What? Get out of my condo. Now, both of you. Natalie, we're not done talking, Mom started. Yes, we are. You broke into my place. You let us in. After you pounded on my door and pushed past me. Now I'm asking you to leave. If you don't, I'll call the police and have you removed for trespassing. Seems to be a theme today. You wouldn't dare, Jessica said. I picked up my phone and started dialing. They left before I finished entering 911. Saturday morning, my phone started ringing at 7 a.m., unknown number. I ignored it. It rang again and again. Finally, I answered. Is this Natalie Morrison? Yes. Who's this? This is Officer Patterson with the local police department. We're at 847 Maple Street. Are you the former owner of this property? My heart sank. Yes. I sold it 2 weeks ago. Why? We have a situation here. A woman claiming to be your sister is trying to move furniture into the house. The current owners arrived to find her and several other people unloading a truck. They called us. Your sister says she has permission to be here. She absolutely does not. I sold that house. The Hendersons own it now. My sister has no legal right to be there. That's what we thought. Can you come down here? This is getting complicated. I threw on clothes and drove to my old house. When I arrived, it was chaos. Jessica's moving truck was in the driveway. Mom and Dad were there, along with 2 of my uncles. The Henderson family stood on the lawn looking terrified. 2 police officers stood between the groups. Natalie. Jessica screamed when she saw me. Tell them I'm allowed to be here. You're not allowed to be here. This isn't my house anymore. It's theirs. I pointed to the Hendersons. Mrs. Henderson looked at me with relief. You're the previous owner? Can you please explain what's happening? I apologize on behalf of my family. I sold you this house 2 weeks ago. My parents, without my knowledge or permission, gave my sister keys and told her she could move in. I informed them multiple times that the house was sold. They didn't listen. My sister has no legal right to be here. But family said, Jessica started. Officer Patterson cut her off. Ma'am, this property belongs to the Henderson family. You need to remove your belongings and leave immediately, or we'll arrest you for trespassing. This is ridiculous. Dad stepped forward. Our daughter needs this house. These people can find somewhere else. These people owe WN the house, the other officer said firmly. They have a legal deed and closed 2 weeks ago. Your family situation is not their problem. Natalie, please, Mom begged. Just let Jessica stay until she finds something else. A few weeks. That's all. A few weeks? Mom, she doesn't own this house. The Hendersons do. They're moving in today. Mr. Henderson spoke up, his voice kind but firm. I'm sorry your sister's having difficulties, but we have 3 children and we're moving in today. We've already sold our previous home. We have nowhere else to go either. Jessica looked at the Henderson kids and her face crumpled. Real tears this time, not manipulation. Genuine despair. For a moment, I felt bad. Then I remembered that this entire situation was created by my family's entitlement and refusal to listen. Jessica, you need to remove your truck and leave, now, before you're arrested. I hate you, she whispered. I will never forgive you for this. I can live with that, I said quietly. The officers supervised as Jessica, Mom, Dad, and my uncles reloaded the truck. The whole time, Mom shot me looks of pure disappointment. Dad wouldn't even look at me. When they finally left, Mrs. Henderson turned to me. Thank you for coming. And I'm so sorry you're going through this with your family. I'm sorry they put you through this. This is your home. Enjoy it. The next 2 weeks were silent. No calls, no texts. I'd been effectively excommunicated from the family. Part of me felt guilty. A small part. The rest of me felt liberated. Then, one evening, there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and was shocked to see Dad standing there alone. I opened the door. Dad, can I come in? I stepped aside and let him enter. He looked around my new condo, taking in the neat living room, the organized kitchen, the peace I created. Nice place, he said finally. Thanks. We stood there awkwardly. Finally, Dad sat down on my couch and put his head in his hands. Your mother and I owe you an apology. I sat across from him waiting. We were wrong. About all of it. We had no right to give Jessica those keys. We had no right to promise her your house. And we definitely had no right to show up at the property after you told us it was sold. Why did you do it? He looked up at me, and I was startled to see tears in his eyes. Because we're tired, Natalie. Tired of Jessica's problems. Tired of always having to fix things for her. We thought if we could just solve this one problem, maybe she'd finally get her life together. By giving her my house. I know how it sounds. Believe me, I know. Your mother and I have been fighting about this for 2 weeks. She finally admitted that we should have listened to you about the sale. That we had no right to make that decision. Where's Jessica now? She found a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not as nice as your house was, but it's affordable and it's in a good school district. She's angry at everyone right now, especially us. Us? She realized that we set her up to fail, that we made promises we couldn't keep, that we used your property as a solution without thinking about the consequences. I didn't know what to say to that. I also realized something else, Dad continued. We've always expected you to accommodate Jessica, to be the flexible one, the responsible one, the one who sacrifices. And you've done it your whole life without complaint. Until now. I got tired of it. I don't blame you. You were right to sell your house. You were right to move on. And you were right to refuse to enable this situation. Is Jessica going to be okay? Eventually, she got a promotion at work. She's in therapy. She's learning to stand on her own 2 feet instead of waiting for someone to rescue her. It's been good for her, honestly. Even if she doesn't see it yet. And Mom? Your mother will come around. She's stubborn, but she knows we were wrong. Dad stood to leave. At the door, he turned back. I'm proud of you, Natalie. You set a boundary and you held it. Even when it cost you. That takes strength. After he left, I sat on my couch and looked around my condo. My space, my home, my boundary. 3 months later, Jessica texted me. Just 3 words. You were right. I texted back. I know, how are you? The conversation that followed was tentative, careful, but it was a start. 6 months after the Saturday disaster, I had Thanksgiving at my condo. Mom, Dad, Jessica, and the girls all came. We didn't talk about the house. We didn't need to. Jessica pulled me aside while doing dishes. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not enabling me. For forcing me to figure it out. I'm doing better now than I have in years. But I couldn't have gotten here if you'd just given me what I wanted. You did the work, Jessica. Not me. But you set the boundary that made me have to do it. That night, after everyone left, I stood on my balcony and looked out at the city lights. Setting boundaries had cost me. It had cost me weeks of family silence, judgment from extended family, and the guilt of watching my sister struggle. But it had also taught my family that I wasn't their backup plan. I wasn't the one who would sacrifice myself to solve their problems. I was a person with my own life, my own goals, and my own right to make decisions about my property. The Hendersons had sent me a Christmas card with a photo of their kids playing in the backyard. "Thank you for this home," it said. "We love it here." I put it on my fridge. A reminder that sometimes the right thing feels wrong. That boundaries make you the villain until everyone realizes you were right all along. My sister needed to learn to stand on her own. My parents needed to learn to stop creating crises by making promises they couldn't keep. And I needed to learn that protecting my peace wasn't selfish, it was necessary. The house was sold. The boundaries were set. And I was free.